Good afternoon, Rosemary.
Good afternoon, Carol. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's getting hot here. It's 81 degrees here today.
Oh, nice, nice. We're
Yeah,
still
it's
a little bit
summertime.
chilly.
Summer is, yeah. Are you still chilly?
A little bit, but we're getting there. It's warming up. The wind makes it cold.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
It's good to see you.
springtime is on us. It's good to see you.
And we are here for our monthly reading with the Body of Wisdom Oracles.
Indeed.
So we are excited to be here. And come on, work with me. So we're using our cards, of course, our decks.
Projects, yes.
And so we have the Embracing the Consciousness of My I Am deck. We're using the Manifestor as the springboard for the theme each month. We have the Oracle of Crystal, Gemstones, and Rocks, Conversation with the Mineral Kingdom, which was a very special deck. We have the I Am Oracle and the Working with Colors.
Yeah.
The
They've all been special decks, every
I
single one
know,
of them.
I know
Just so
someone.
different. It was just our first foray into doing working together, co-creating that deck. But that was the springboard for the other three that came after it, the other two that came after it. So yeah.
Right, right, and it's interesting because someone asked me when I was doing a show, one of those weekends,
Mhm.
Metaphysical Expo, and someone asked me, "Okay, which one is your favorite deck?" And I said, "I can't choose any of my children from my
I
favorite
can't, I don't
children."
have favorites. They're all my children.
I'm like, I can't answer that question.
Yeah, yeah. Oh
I
my,
told I told her the process of who came into the deck because I asked which cards would be in the deck rather than me decide who is in the deck. So
right. Who wanted to participate?
I wanted to
Exactly.
respect everyone. So
Yeah, absolutely. And hence it became a mutually beneficial, symbiotic, creative process and relationships. Very cool.
exactly. So I am Carole Frank. I am an integrative practitioner of metaphysics with numerous certification, and I've studied a variety of healing modalities to become the integrative practitioner. I'm passionate about creating purposeful tools that stimulate potential growth through multisensory experiences. And one of those are the cards as well as card spreads, and kind of a unique card spreads with the body, mind, spirit, and mind when I'm creating that. And I support clients with private and group healing sessions. So check out with us monthly to see what we offer.
And you're also an artist. You're also an artist who works with fractals and sacred geometry. All of the artwork in the decks and all of the decks are Carol's original artwork. So yeah, it's beautiful.
And um, give yourself a little bit of an introduction,
Oh,
Rosemary.
okay. Hi, hi, hi. I'm Rosemary, Nevada. Everybody calls me Rosie. I am a psychic medium. I tap into my aptitudes. Everybody has these aptitudes. It's just a matter of whether or not you've developed them or are aware of them. We all have them. I tap into them in order to communicate with all manner of beings, with people who have gone on, uh, with with beings that have never been corporeal on this planet, with animals, people who have transitioned. So yeah, I love that the form of communication that I can share with other people to give them information that they might not have access to. So it provides an opportunity for people to find out things that they might not be able to find out on their own. I do direct readings, which means I just go into the person's energy and give them information. I use divination tools as well. Of course, my favorite is happens to be the Body of Wisdom Oracle decks that we co-created. I also like working with tarot cards. I like scrying. I like working with runes. I dabble in the I Ching. Um, but again, my favorite are our oracle cards, and I'm also passionate about using my aptitudes to be of service to others. It's a big deal for me.
Nice. Thank you, Rosie.
You bet.
So our intention is always to assist you in attaining a better sense of balance and creating balance within your life and experiencing a way of life that is both unique and blissful to you. So really by getting to know who you are. And we want, we aspire to a lifestyle of soulful, joyful living, and we inspire others to create that for themselves as well. And this is the display of the cards for this month.
Oh, they're so pretty. It's interesting that two of the cards are similar in coloring and three of the cards are similar in coloring.
Yeah, it's interesting because it feels like there's blues and hues and blacks and
Right.
I mean the smoky quartz is more of a brown, gold brown, but
Mhm.
but the it kind of matches the empowered, some of the colors in the
Right, with
empowered.
the I am, yeah.
Yeah. So it's always interesting that there's always kind of color hues that kind of match
Sort
together.
of the theme, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
So
very interesting.
so here we are. Did you want to start or do you want me to
Oh, why don't you
start?
go ahead and start? I always like to follow suit after you. You're so eloquent. You really are.
I don't know about that, but this is the so we use the Manifestor deck
It's the manifestor deck.
as the springboard and the theme for our blog and for our video message. So this one is Illuminated Growth. And I love that it's almost looks like a candle kind of leading the way towards it's like there's a path opening and then there's that light that is within it. So the illuminating growth is a message about paying attention to the light bulb moments of inspiration and insights that illuminate what is ready to grow. Open-mindedness and flexible intentions feed new perspective and options. And it also advises us or encourages us to practice non-attachment to outcomes, and which will launch us into the field of potentialities. And so this is a great message because then, paying attention to those moments, not everything is going to become a manifestation. However, if we really start paying attention and to what is in alignment, we have some gems of wisdom there um, that we can build on and create those new opportunities and possibilities for creating that soulful, joyful living, and even your business.
Yeah, absolutely. In entrepreneurial ways as well. One of the things that I love about this card is that the message tells us that to be open-minded and flexible in our thinking, in our intentions, and in our perspectives. And this always makes me think of the concept of beginner's mind. Being in beginner's mind, you don't have any preconceived notions. You don't have, like it says, to let go of any attachments. You're completely open, which opens you up to infinite possibilities because you don't have any expectations.
Right. And I feel like
And
with expectation, you have disappointments, right?
you do, because when you don't get what you expect, but then it also causes you to miss what's right in front of you that's even better than what you expected or could have hoped for. So this is such a good reminder about not getting attached to outcomes, so that we completely be completely open to the field of potentialities.
Sometimes during the chaos of things, we like you said, we tend to miss things.
We do.
So I think it also reminds us that those moments of insights come when we're um, and I'm always paying attention, and we've talked about this throughout the readings because uh, through those moments of inspiration, I feel like I was able to listen to the guidance and pack up and move, or do certain things that I never thought I would do. So it really kind of those moments of inspiration and insights tend to ignite. I feel like it's bringing it back to that illuminating growth, but it's like an ignition
It
almost like
is.
a little trigger of what is about to become.
Yeah, it's flipping that switch.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love the way the image just kind of, it's almost like it's an embracing also. It's like
Yes,
two arms putting arms
right.
kind of cuddling you, but at the same time it's like that cocoon that's been created, which within that cocoon you have those moments of insights.
Right. And you know what else it reminds me of? It reminds me of a light bulb.
Mhm.
It reminds me of aha moments that hadn't come to you until just that minute.
Right.
Yeah.
And
But
I
I
think
love that idea of being embraced, being encircled.
I
Yeah.
think I one of the thing it just reminds me of is, and I think I've shared it in a different reading last year, but I had this moment where I was trying to figure out how to do certain things, and I spent like an hour on the computer trying to figure it out. And I'm like, I'm ready to close up the computer. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I was frustrated. I wasn't getting anywhere. I couldn't figure it out. And I'm just about to close the computer, the laptop, and then I hear like um, circle to circle, and I'm like, I got it. And then I went opened up again, and then I created what I needed, and it worked out perfectly. And it was just like it, so. This part of the closing up, I feel like closing up the laptop was that part of non-attachment. I'm like, okay, I'm done, because I'm not going to force anything anymore. And then as soon as I did that moment, it was like, oh, I got the light bulb.
It came in, you got the light bulb. And yeah, there's a whole thing about forcing your will. With free will choice, it's really important that you've got to be open, you've got to be flexible, because that forcing your will can create more problems than good, especially if it's on somebody else. But you were forcing yourself to come up with that
Right,
solution to
right,
that issue, and then you just, oh, the heck with it, you let it go. You weren't forcing your will anymore, and something easy came in.
right, right. I heard the answer. It's like,
Yeah,
it was just like, I heard the answer.
yeah, that's wild. I love it when stuff like that happens. I love
So
it.
what's
So
next?
our next card comes from the beautiful, my favorite deck. It's the very first deck. And it was the first deck that I bought from Carole, and I still use it every single day. It's the I Am deck. And the card is, look at how active and how dynamic this card is. It's I am empowered. So all of these cards are an affirmation. And then underneath the affirmation, there's always a probing question to make you think. You can think about it, you can journal about it, you can work with it. So the idea, the message behind this card of being, I am empowered, being empowered, is I teach myself to say no. I pause before I answer in order to honor how I feel. That is so important. How many times have we gotten drawn into things that we really didn't want to do, but we couldn't or wouldn't say no? So I love this. So empowering yourself to honor how you feel and who you are. This is huge. This is
And
a huge card.
the what made me choose the I am empowered, it kind of spoke to me as kind of like the big feline of like the
Yes,
tiger or the lion. It just reminded me of like
it
the
does.
lion and the
It
tiger.
looks, yeah, it looks
And
dynamic, and it looks powerful.
yes,
And
so
look at the colors. Look at the colors in here. You've got all these golds and yellows. That's the color of the third chakra, the solar plexus chakra. That's your powerhouse. That's where you draw your power from. That's also where you give your power away from that location as well. So it's very third chakra with those golds. And then the oranges bleed into it. There's that whole creativity thing that comes into it as well. That's a fantastic card. Love it.
recently I had a conversation with someone, and I guess it was perfect perfect timing because I was about to write the blog for this month and with
Mhm.
those cards, and and it made me think about, when someone refuses your help, or like doesn't want to, you're trying to do a nice thing, but then they're not receiving it. So I kind of turned it back on her, and kind of the conversation went, maybe because I felt like maybe that's something that she needs to hear, because sometimes we can get carried away in trying to help others, but then maybe become an enabler, or we
Right.
become, or we use that as an excuse not to face what we have to face and take responsibility for ourselves. So it becomes a distraction. Helping someone else becomes a distraction, and it can take us off our route or our path.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So yeah,
So,
so it
so it's interesting.
disempowers you. It can
It's
disempower you. Yeah.
exactly. So it's really interesting that it just I felt like that needed to be said as well, because we easily say yes to things. But when
Mhm.
we pause and see why we're doing certain things, for me, I remember doing a lot of fundraising and a lot of saying yes to this, saying yes to this, saying yes to that, is because one is I wasn't happy at home so I needed to be outside the home. So I made myself busy to not face
Mhm.
what was
Mhm.
happening in my personal life. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm being validated, I'm being loved outside of the house. And then inside the home, there was not much going on. So it felt like I needed that. So I said yes. But then it's
Yeah.
at the expense of exhaustion, is at the expense of um, discouragement, because once the project is done, they don't need you anymore. So you're kind of, put
Right back,
aside.
right back to square one. Yeah. You know
Yeah.
what else this card makes me think of? This is very scorpionic. This makes me think of a phoenix.
Okay.
Scorpio is one of the zodiac signs. It's represented by a scorpion, but it's also represented by snake, and it's also represented by the phoenix, because it's about birth, death, and rebirth. And these colors are so phoenixy, with the orange and the black smoke and the yellow flames and the orange flames. And it's in evolutionary astrology, the evolutionary intent of Scorpio is the right use of power. So this made me think, well, look at that. It's the right use of power. It's empowerment, and it's got the colors of a phoenix in flames. It's very,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. So it made me think of the right use of power, and how that's something that most of us need to learn. Either we give it away or we wield it badly.
Or
And so,
sometimes we
yeah.
don't step into our power. I know for myself, it's been a journey of self-empowerment, because there's
Mhm.
there's always that fear um, of abuse of power, because
Exactly.
there's such a line, and everybody has their own baggage when we meet. So it's kind of like, where's my line of, not empowering, not overpowering someone, but yet I need to empower myself. So it's kind of like a dance that we play. It feels like it's
Exactly.
always a constant
That's
dance.
exactly right. And I've had this discussion with my evolutionary astrologer and teacher. The one who is my astrologer, does works with me on my own chart, is Donna Steele. And we have had this discussion about owning your power, taking your power back, giving your power away, standing in your power, using your power rightly, so many times in class when we're looking at Scorpio, but also when looking at charts.
Right.
And so, yeah, because it's right there in your chart. So boy, that's a really made me think of a phoenix, and I love the idea of the whole empowerment concept. Yep. Good
So the,
card.
so the next card takes us to the crystal deck,
Right.
and this is the crystal deck, and the card is Smoky Quartz.
Smoky quartz. Yeah.
And I just love this image.
I do too. It's so gorgeous.
And Smoky Quartz has the message for us of walking the walk of exploring shadow, which takes courage, commitment, and digging deep. So it's really encouraging us to go through the process of shadow work, or looking at all aspects of the self. And it can be tricky and scary. However, it, or I don't know, I guess the French will take it to the he in my language, but the gem or the crystal Smoky Quartz wants to have been used. I can't speak. Wants to be used as a guide and as a support system. So you can use the Smoky Quartz when you're working, doing your introspective work. This one talks about shining light again, brings it back to the illuminating growth, right? It says,
Right.
shining light on shadow brings self-discovery, understanding, and release what no longer serves you, which again also relates to the empowerment card that we were just
Exactly.
talking about.
Isn't it interesting how they dovetail? It always amazes me. Yeah.
It's always random pull, because you pull one, I pull one, you pull one, I pull one. So it's not like we're defining what gets pulled. It's like it's random pull. So,
It's totally random. Yeah.
and it also um, tells us that it brings, through that shadow work, it brings the planting of seeds and new growth.
Right.
So it says, come with me, I will accompany you on your walk and be your guide. So
Yeah.
really kind of consider working with Smoky Quartz when you're doing your introspective and shadow work, because it can
Absolutely.
illuminate some of those insights for you. And shadow work really is, to me, it's about total self-acceptance. It's like unconditional love to yourself, to who you are and how you were programmed. One of the things that really helped me understand who I was is to look at different ways. Like I had my handprint analyzed. I did the Brian Meyer. I always put them
Oh,
in
Myers-Briggs. Yeah, the
Meyer.
Myers-Briggs
For some reason, I
personality
always
test.
do the
Yeah.
Briggs Meyer Briggs.
Yeah.
And then I had my numerology, and looking at those three reports
Did you do
together.
human design as well? Didn't you
I
do human
yes,
design? Yeah.
I do also have that, but I was looking at the same time as that's a few years back, the numerology, the I think I'm an introvert, and thinking and
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
judging and something else, and then the soul print. I was looking at all three at the same time, and I'm like, oh, this is how I'm programmed, which kind of,
Yes.
that was my light bulb, in the sense of there's nothing wrong with me. It's just the way I was programmed. This is what I came with. This is what I've, you know, own, and this is what I don't have. Looking at the numerology, so
Right.
okay, let's now I have a bigger picture of myself. Let's move on. Let's
Right.
use
And that was the illumination that set you on that path of growth.
exactly.
Really interesting.
That was very helpful. So, there's different ways of looking at yourself, but looking at two different things together or more, it really kind of was like, oh, there's
It
nothing
fleshes it
wrong with
out,
me.
doesn't it? It
Well,
fleshes it out.
yeah, it's just like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
That's who I
You know
am,
what I
because I
like?
was born on that day, at that time, from that country, whatever it
Yeah.
is, alignment with
Yeah.
the planets and everything else. It's like, oh, okay, that makes
It's
sense now.
amazing. It's
But
amazing.
the empowerment part is looking at ourselves from okay, now what? Because I'm this on paper, but my reality doesn't really match what was on paper. So then it's like, okay, what do I need to
Exactly.
work on? And then that's kind of
Exactly.
what led me to do my inner work, and
Yeah,
and
and that what do I need to work on? That's sticking your big toe in the pool of shadow work.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
my favorite thing that I read about shadow work, because it made it way less scary, and I've probably said this before in other blogs, where I read that shadow work is when you take the time to learn about and embrace the parts of yourself that have been rejected by other people and that you have rejected, and to reintegrate those parts and become whole again. And I thought, well, that's not as scary as I thought it was, because we always think we're monsters, we're our own worst critics.
But I think if I'm looking at myself, some of the
Mhm.
aspect of, let's say, I didn't quite like, were a lot of them were associated with wounds.
Right.
So then it really uncovers the wounds that are that are kind of subconsciously there, or that we've kind of stifled, and then
Mhm.
healing those wounds gives us a different appreciation for that aspect of ourselves, and
Exactly.
brings compassion through it, and
Mhm.
and then we can do something about it. So and then it becomes, what words do we use? um, there's variation of words, and then we can, like, the one word that might have a negative connotation brings, if you really look at it from a different angle, because you only seeing it through your self-judgment,
To
right?
your
So
own
you've
wounds.
given it a negative connotation to that word, for example, but now you shed a new light on it, and now it becomes totally different, bringing it into a different angle, and you can look at it from a
Exactly.
different perspective. So it's just, I'm rambling a little bit, but that's
No, but yeah, it's important, and it's perfect for the card. It just reiterates what's in the cards, the message from the card. So, and we need to remember, I love that it offers to be the guide.
Mhm,
Let me be your guide. We're never alone.
right.
We have all kinds of people in skins and people not in skins and beings not in skins that help us. We need to listen. We need to ask. Your spirit team can't do anything unless you ask them today, because we have free will choice. So we're never alone. There's always somebody there to help. And I love that Smoky Quartz says, let me help you. I'll work with you. Yeah, I love that card. So I guess our next one, we're moving on to the consciousness deck, which was just an amazing deck to work on together. The card that we drew this month is multi-dimensional being. Don't you just love the image? Look at that. It's just the shining from within. All of these cards start with the phrase, I'm grateful for. All of our cards start with a phrase of some kind that sort of lays the groundwork for what we're going to be working on. And these cards are cards about gratitude, about being conscious about a lot of different things. I'm grateful for the harmonious connection within all layers of my energetic self. So this card reminds us that it's not just this skin that we're in, it's all the energy bodies. We're like an onion. You could peel us like an onion, layer after layer. So there's all the energetic bodies, and then we connect to the I am self, to the higher self, to the I am self, to source. And we exist in multi-dimensionals. We exist in different realities. Mercury is retrograde. Neither one of us can talk today. Mercury messes with communication. I can't speak either. So yeah, we are multidimensional. We exist in multi realities, multi universes, and we don't remember that, because we all we know on a being on a in a three-dimensional place in a three-dimensional solid body slows us down, and there's things we just lose. We have amnesia about it. We don't remember because we can't feel it or touch it, because we're in a material world. So this is, I'm grateful for the harmonious connections within all layers of my energetic self. This eternal oneness allows multidimensional relationships and opportunities within the quantum field. I connect with the expansiveness, all pathways to my potentiality unfurl, and I create heaven on earth. So this is a call to awareness that you're more than just than what you can just see or touch. You're more than that. And if you meditate, if you take the time to meditate, you'll find yourself making connections.
Well, and I love the fact that, at the bottom here, it almost looks like a doorway.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
right
a
there. A little,
doorway,
it looks, yeah,
and then you have it takes you into this expansion, and I love the colors of this card because the blue which will lead us into the next card that got pulled. Um, within these multi layers of our energetic self, if we learn to manage them, we have inner peace. It creates inner
yes,
peace, and then from that, there's also brings in connection with compassion. So that
absolutely.
with the kind of like the purple and pinkish color, it feels like it just deepens our connection, as well as we connect to each of the dimensions and each of the our multidimensionality. It's so
Right.
I
Yeah, and it just expands and expands and expands and expands and expands.
Yeah,
It's beautiful. Yeah,
I love that.
I do too. What's our next card?
The next card leads us to coastal blue from the color deck. It's the
Yes, let's
color
start
deck.
there.
I think colors are underutilized. That's
Oh,
my
I
opinion.
agree. I agree.
Um, so the coastal blue, this kind of reminded me of kind of like a wave. That's why I called it coastal blue.
Yeah.
Like a water wave, with the
Yeah, it looks like
sky.
somebody's gonna come
Yeah.
sliding in here on their surfboard.
So this one is about healing. This message is opening ourselves to the experience of each of the color cards starts with that, because then it creates a field of expansion because we're associating or working with the frequencies that may be unfamiliar and the qualities that are unfamiliar to us. So this is about healing, peace, and stability. And so like you said, surfing, it's
Yeah,
about how do you surf, create stability when you're surfing. You have a good sense, you kind of feel grounded on that board. That's your support system.
and you know what else? In order to surf and feeling grounded, you have to find balance. Surfing is a lot
Exactly.
about balance and balancing, so it really is a metaphor. Yeah,
Right.
and the metaphor for finding balance and riding the flow,
Right.
riding waves in the flow.
And
Yeah,
which brings us to creating that peace, because the peace creates the stability
exactly.
creates the peace, because there's no matter what. um I feel like you're like I use so we use water with the blue, but I always kind of I hugged a tree one day at a park but when I was back in Virginia, and I had the message, be as strong as my trunk, but be as flexible as my leaves,
Right.
or my branches, and it just kind of like, thank you for that, because it felt like I was um, too sturdy, and I needed that to create that flexibility. And
Ability.
and within that flexibility, which relates back to the first card that we had,
Right.
uh, that flexibility allows us to create more stability, and within that stability, more peace. For me, it's that was one of my search was when uh, one of my main search was to create peace within myself,
Yeah.
because of all the chaos. I grew up in very chaotic environments, so I was seeking peace, and I love the blue is calm. It's inviting. It's got water is very healing, so you can associate it with water, like we talked about the surfing. what else do you have for us?
Well, you know what just what it made me think of, it's very Piscean. Pisces is water, it's a water sign. It's the ultimate sign in the zodiac. And water is a universal conduit. It's also about source, returning to source. And this makes me think there's this amazing movie called Cloud Atlas. And it's about, we are an ocean and we are a drop. We're of it, we're in it, we are it. And so that it's about connection. And it looks like the sky connects to the water and the water connects back to the sky. It's cyclical and it's soothing and it's flowing and it's connecting. And then you have all these different colors of blue. This part reminds me of speaking your truth.
Okay. Yes, yes.
This deeper part reminds me of the third eye. So intuiting your truth, letting it come in from other places.
Well, it's interesting because we're both wearing blue today. We didn't
Yeah, we're
plan
both
that.
have on blue today. So.
And then I'm wearing Larimar stone, which is about expression, and it is created by the movement of water against the stone. So
In the waves, it comes from the
yes,
ocean, right?
yes,
So we're
yes.
right back to coastal blue.
That's just funny.
Yeah. Well, these things, when we do these readings and pull the cards, they always dovetail and then they come right back around to the beginning.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
That's what I love about that. Yeah, because it's always brings it back right back to us to the beginning of the first card. So
and what amazes me is that we've used these cards since we've created them,
right.
and you can use a deck separately, or you can use it with another deck, or you can use all 5 decks together. They interface and they intertwine and they dovetail and they feed information that's interlocking and connected. And we didn't plan that. That wasn't in our plans. It just turned out that
We're
way.
just like, okay, what's the next deck? What's the next deck? And then they all work
Right.
beautifully together, and it always feels like there's a lesson in the story within each of the readings.
Yes, there
Because
is.
it's
There's
really
a story.
applying.
Yeah.
It's about applying, it's not necessarily just a concept. It's no longer as part of the new human. It's no longer understanding the concept, but it's actually applying and integrating.
Exactly.
And they're really giving us great messages for us to integrate within our daily practices.
Right.
Being
And the
aware.
application, it's so interesting because you're talking about it, it's how it applies, we apply it. Application takes us right back to manifestation, which was the final deck to complete what we do. So the manifestation deck, that's the ultimate. That's okay. Now you have all this information to work with. Here's how you apply it. You become your own manifester.
Yeah.
That's why also we use that as our springboard for our monthly blog reading, our blog and our readings. So yeah, this was a good one.
I
I mean, they've
know.
all been good, but this one I think there's so much going on right now worldwide. There's lots going on. And I think these cards speak to being supportive of that.
And helping us ride that wave, because
Ride the wave.
it's not always easy for us. It's for us to surf life in a way that we have that peace and stability. So
exactly.
Boom, bringing it back to the last
bringing it right back. Yeah.
We're not going to stop life, it's just for us to adjust to life. So
it is, it's an adjustment, isn't it? And finding the best way to navigate. Water also makes me think of navigation. How do you navigate it? How do you sail it? How do you stay afloat? What happens if you sink a little bit? How do you come back up?
But it also here, it's like the horizon is endless. The sky is endless. So again, it's bringing it back to all these. If you look forward, you have all these opportunities,
Endless
and the
possibilities.
potential and possibilities. So
Yeah, it's
nice,
fantastic.
nice, nice, beautiful message. Thank you, the Body of Wisdom
Yeah.
Oracles.
Yes, thank you, Body of Oracles, Body of Wisdom Oracles.
Thanks,
Awesome,
Rosie.
awesome. What else do we have for our visitors?
So we have our monthly circle for on every third Sunday of the month. So that will be, I always forget to look at the date,
Oh,
but I
yeah, I
think it's
forgot to.
May 17th, I think. Let me
I think
double
that
check.
sounds right. That
Actually,
sounds
no,
right.
it's
Is that
19th.
right? It sounds
19th.
right.
It's May 19th, actually.
Oh, May 19th. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The
Yeah,
17th
May
is a Friday,
19th. Yes.
isn't it? Yeah.
So Sunday, May 19th will be the next one. So the best way is to register through our newsletter that we send monthly, or to check up the meetup, Soulful Joyful Living meetup. And that way you get the link and everything else there. Then we invite you to join our Facebook group, the Body of Wisdom Oracle Circle, where Rosie shares some readings every day, Monday through Friday.
Right.
And then I share the daily oracle that we derived the messages from the Body of Wisdom Oracles.
Oh, and I
So-
like those delve deeper posts that you do.
Yes, I have some card spreads that one question to kind of move you into looking deeper. Sometimes
Yeah.
that's the gentle shadow work. I'm just putting
Yes,
a
yeah.
question out there at a time. Like, okay, let's talk about this. And sometimes
It's not so daunting.
but it's a process, and you have to be um, willing to do the work, because the work is doing your inner work is very rewarding, because you're not going to feel as stuck or um as desperate is the I don't want to say desperate, but at the same time it's like sometimes we're just getting to that state of despair that we can't see the way out. That so doing your inner work is really beneficial in terms of changing your life, switching your life around, shifting things.
So if you had somebody come up to you, a client come up to you, and Carole has all kinds of clients. She does a lot of practices, a lot of different healing modalities, and so she's a go-to gal if you want to get some extra help with your work. So if you had a client that was wanting to do, because we talked with Smoky Quartz, and Smoky Quartz talked about shadow work. If somebody wanted to put their toe in the water and start shadow work, what would be the best thing that would be the first step they should take?
I mean, for me, I would recommend if let's say they want to work on their own,
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend the I Am deck, because the I
Right.
Am deck feels like it's the foundational deck. So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like with the questions and the affirmation,
Right.
you're connecting to pieces of you that you may not be aware of, and that you're asking questions to delve a little deeper. So those questions were, it feels like, the I Am deck is kind of like my journey on paper. So
Right.
I had to rebuild after a divorce, and um after lots of stuff. I had to look at myself, and then and then I did my inner work, and then the I Am deck was born, but I had to answer all those questions within the deck.
Right.
So that's why I thought, let me kind of put those in there, so that it helps you rise up to something different. Because
Right.
we have to bring the invisible into the visible, so that we can shift and transform, because
Right.
I was unhappy where I was. So I had to
Right.
find some kind of way to get myself out of what I was feeling and how I was feeling, and in the situation that I was in. So I had to really take a hard look. So the I Am deck, I think, would be a nice, unless you want to do private work or group sessions, where the group sessions we usually do releasing and then expansion. I always like to kind of create kind of sweep out the rug kind of thing.
Right.
And then we can bring in more. So it's always about creating more, but we have first we got to sweep some stuff out.
Yeah,
So, there's different ways of working. And then
yeah,
if it's a private session, your body will lead me to where I need to go. So, we may
right,
be working on this, but then, we have to go there first, somewhere else first
right,
before we can get to what we need to do. So, it's just it's everyone's unique and it's but it's if you're willing to start, I think the I am deck is kind of like the best tool for you to use. And I would encourage you to not just pick it up once and then put it aside. It's like you have to create that connection with it and
mhm,
and be willing to journal a little bit about those
right,
questions so that
right,
things are brought to the awareness and then it can give you focus as to, oh, I need to address this, and then
right,
and then notice the changes, because once it's in the awareness, then you're like, we talk about in the first card of paying attention. If you don't pay attention, you can't see anything, and you're just gonna live through your life without like blinders on, and the
yeah,
blinders may lead
exactly,
you to the wrong path because there's other, on your sides there are other options than just straight
mhm,
ahead. So it's
mhm.
seeing those options. So I answered the question pretty nicely.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking that if somebody wanted to start doing shadow work on their own, what would be the first thing that would set them on that path? And I think that the I am deck is a good answer to that, because I know that this was the first deck that I got, and I pulled a card every day. And then after I went through all the cards, there's 63 of them, 63, right? Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh.
After I went through all of them, then I started pulling. I pull a card every day, but I would take my first card that I pulled of the week was like the topic for the week.
Okay.
And that would be my focus for the week. And then I pull another card every day the rest of the week to see how I was going to focus on that one thing that came up at the very beginning. So it
Because
was
I
really
mean,
helpful. And I love the questions.
and then some people, it's interesting, some people at the show that I was recently, I said to a gentleman, I said, this is gentle work. He's like, oh, I like that. I have to remember that gentle shadow work.
Gentle shadow work. Because people shy away from it because it
Yeah,
seems scary.
right. But
Just the word shadow is sort of a scary word.
it's really accepting who you are on all
Yeah,
levels, and there's
yeah,
nothing wrong. It's just like I said, I think part of why we shy away from dealing with it is because it may open some wounds, but
yeah.
those wounds need healing,
They need
and
healing.
and um
Exactly.
and
That's
so
exactly right. Well, and it's a whole duality thing too. You can't have light without dark and dark without light. And so they're complements of each other.
right.
And you have to be equally well versed in both to be balanced. So yeah. So what about what's next on here? Oh, okay. This is how to
So
reach
this
us.
is how you reach us if you wanted to work with either one of us. Rosemary also does sessions. She does the readings, and I do different kind of reading where you would have actually a piece of art with the
Oh, I
intuitive
love
reading.
that.
So that would be something that you like to maybe consider doing. And then you can work with your piece. And what else? I think that's it.
I think
So
that's it. It
we
looks
are
like we're
done
done.
for today, and we would love to, have your comments and feedback. We appreciate the support and join us in the Facebook group. We would love to have
Right.
you.
And if you want to see the different things that are offered, services and products, be sure that you go to please say it. I have Mercury retrograde bad today.
Soulful, joyful living. I guess
Five
we could
times fast.
soulful, joyful living. The French accent might just show up in that one. When I say
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So, but stop by the website because it's beautiful And there's so many tools there. That's always been Carole's goal, is to create tools to help people step into the best version of themselves and live soulfully and joyfully. So yeah, go by the website.
Yeah, I was my best. We have this French word "cobaye," which is like I'm
Mhm.
the guinea pig. So I'm the guinea pig first, and then I put things out.
Right, right.
Well, it was lovely to have this conversation with you and the messages with with the cards. So thank you for
Yes.
another great reading. And
It's always fun, Carol. It's always a pleasure to collaborate with you. I look forward to it.
all right, we'll see you next month. Thank you,
See you
everyone.
next month. Goodbye, everybody. Have a wonderful month. Have a wonderful
Bye.
minute. Bye.